following podcast is rated G for gammon. Please be aware it may contain some coarse language and is not suitable for children or gammon audiences. Oh yeah, it's been a week of jokes, my brother. Hello, Aaron Agus.
Hello, Carly Wallace.
I tell
the
you,
artist formerly known as.
the artist formerly. Did anyone get you for April Fool's this week?
We tried at work. We tried to get somebody, but it didn't work.
What did you do?
We tried to set up our teammates, a listener and I.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dee wants me to shout her out, but shout out Dee. We were like, oh, let's do an April Fool's joke, and they were like, okay, you let me do the acknowledgement of country, and then I'm gonna gammon like I'm leaving. I was like, oh, okay, that'll be good. And like she was real serious, you know, did a real deadly acknowledgement. And then she's like, oh, and I have some other news, and I've asked Aaron if he would let me lead this meeting for the spit. And then, you know, she went right into it, and nobody looked shocked. And then they started laughing and didn't wait. We're like, oh, then you
fail.
Yeah, because we were the first two in the meeting. Like, okay, yeah, we gotta try. But yeah, so we tried, failed. How about you?
Yeah, this week I got my dad, and he doesn't know.
Dad, poor fella.
No, don't feel sorry for him, because my dad is where I actually get my sense of humour from. My dad's got a very dry sense of humour, and he's always been very inappropriate. And I look back now and I go, I wonder where I got my autism from, and it's my dad. A video came up the other day, and I'll tell you a quick yarn. I took him into, like, I think it was JB Hi-Fi a couple of years ago. No, I think it was actually last year. It was last year. And I was buying him one of those new phones, you know, the big button phones that all the mums and dads have now. So my dad is 77. So, you know, he's not a spring chicken. So I had to get him a new phone, and the 4G network was shutting down, all the thing. I said, come on, we'll go buy a new phone. I go to buy him a new phone, and we're in the JB Hi-Fi. And usually when we go into stores, my dad, he will always find some type of moment to just tell some random stranger something random. And it's generally inappropriate. So I try to just go in and out before something happens, right?
Yeah.
So I go in, I get the phone. I'm like, yep, that's the exact phone I want. Boom, package it up. Let's go. I'm thinking, oh, this is good. We're going to go in and out. Dad's not said much. I'm just going to grab this phone and like leave. Anyway, we're bringing it up at the counter, and the guy goes, oh, yeah, it's a good phone. Everyone's got one. And then Dad goes, yeah, I don't really use it anymore. I don't really use my phone. And he's like, oh, yeah. And he goes, yeah, because all my friends are dead.
Oh, this lad.
Bro.
How did the store person take that?
When I tell you, bro, the whole life of me like left my body. The fella just looked at me, and I looked at him. And I said, I'm sorry, I wish he was joking, but he's not. He's dead serious. So that's where I get my ridiculous sense of humour from, and I can only imagine how bad my humour is going to be when I reach 77 and just don't care. So I thought this week I thought I'd just call up my dad and you know, let's just play a little prank on him, because it's the week of April Fool's, and my dad loves a joke. So I thought I'd get him. Do you want to hear it? Should we listen?
Yeah,
okay. Don't judge me. All right. I'm mucking around with an old person here. I love it.
He's 77. Yeah, he might have some signs of dementia.
Definitely signs of dementia. So here we go.
Hello, Carly.
Hey, Dad. What?
I'm in a restaurant, and my phone went off in my pocket.
Oh, God.
And it's really, I've got it turned right up.
You're funny.
Everybody's looking at me.
Shame.
Yeah.
Question.
Yes, darling.
How much are you paying for air in your tires these days? Because I just spent like $250 Like
Oh,
that's
no, you
that's
didn't.
enough, hey? Like, is that a lot to put? That's average.
For
Oh,
how many tyres?
Like for
4
someone,
tyres?
yeah, for someone to put air in my tires, I paid someone 250. That's pretty going rate, eh?
That's it. You don't. Air's free. You got to take your car to where you get your fuel.
Yeah, I did.
Sometimes
I
there's
took it to the server, and the fellow put it in, and it was $250.
you're
you charge
terrible.
you for him to put that in there.
Yeah,
It'll take him bloody 10 minutes.
that's what he said it cost. So he said he put the air in, and he said that's two
It's
hundred.
free.
Dad, it was $250.
I'd go and ask him for your money back.
Why?
He's up to something. No, because it's free. Everybody, we take tires and I do it for
Yeah, well, he
Oh,
put fuel
my
in too,
goodness.
though. So he said it was going to be 250 because he put fuel and air in.
Oh, you didn't do it yourself. You didn't want to do it yourself, or what?
No, I went to the server and he said, "Oh, we put the air in your tires here and the fuel." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he said it was, when I got to the register, he said it was 250, and I thought, "Oh yeah, that's pretty average." So I thought I'd ask you.
Well, how much was your fuel? Was it like $200 or $150?
No, the fuel's only like $45.
Ah, they ripped you off, darling.
Oh, poor fella.
What?
I'm only being gammon.
I can't
being
believe he
gammon,
fell
mate.
for it. I can't believe he
I
thought.
was trying to say, Christy, I'm going to get you for that. I really am. You listen to him laughing ahead. That's glorious. Gloria going,
Sorry, mate.
all right, I'm going to get you for that.
Anyway, have a good day. I'm terrible.
That's good.
Oh, my poor dad. The most disturbing thing about that is that I can lie super easy, as you can see, and it's horrible.
Probably the other thing is that he was like, this girl has really just paid someone $250 to put air in her tires.
Man, I could just hear him like racking his brain of like, what
Trying to work
was she
it out. Yeah,
saying
he's
to
like,
me?
So how much? Was
Man.
it the tires? Was it petrol? Was it poor fella?
I love having my dad on. He is really good fun. Once you've I'm like, Dad, I'm only gammon. And you can hear, right, he's got a Scottish accent. Like he's got,
yeah.
no, I can't really hear it, but other people can hear there's an accent going on. And my dad's been here for 50 something years and he knows what gammon is. He knows all the
He knows all the lingo, yeah.
It's all the lingo. So I'm like, nah, I'm going to gammon dad. Like I'm constantly having him on. It's a poor fella. That was my little play up this week. Just tormenting.
Yeah, that's still there. I like that.
Tormenting my elderly father. But you know what isn't funny? Speaking of, jokes and all those things.
April Fools.
April Fools and Fools. The election. It's been called this week. Hey,
Yes. What is it?
finally.
Start of May, we're going to the polls, going to get our democracy sausage and eat it in secret.
That's the only reason why. But I actually will always do a postal vote. I don't stand up anymore. I don't do lines.
Oh, really?
Nah.
You don't go in there?
No, I can't. It's too much sensory overload for me. I don't want your pamphlets. I don't want your harassment at the gate. I don't want any of those things. And you know what? I could cook my own democracy sausage. I'm not going through all of that just for a sausage. Good way.
Just for a gammon sausage on some stale white bread.
The stale white bread. Can we talk about that? That's another issue that I want to vote for this election. Please get some fresh bread. And that goes for everyone at Bunnings too. Every Saturday, I'm sick and tired of my democracy sausage just being the sausage because I can't eat the bread.
Yeah. I don't understand how it's always stale. Like what are you doing? How long are you buying this bread? Are you buying it when they announce that the election's on? Like I don't understand how it happens.
You know what it is? They put it out now. They like have them ready, and then the air's getting to them. Just do what black mums have done since millennia, and just butter them and put it back in the packet till you're ready to take out the slice. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
Thank you. Who do you think? Well, no, I was going to ask you who you're going to vote for, but I already know who you're going to vote for, really. But it's also none of my business. But who do you think is going to win? If we had to do a little poll, a little guesstimate of who's going to take out the election 2025.
Well, there's a few schools of thought on this. The one that I like to do is go to sports bet. So I go to sports bet and I have a look at what the odds are for each, because surprisingly, somehow sports bet is usually pretty close or on the money. Okay. There was one time they got it wrong. They've been wrong twice. Once for the Australian election, one for the US election, but usually they're pretty on the money, the old sports bet. So at the moment they're saying that that Labor is going to win. And the most likely outcome will be Labor minority. So they're not going to win convincingly. They're just going to have to work with some parties and work with some teals to form a government.
If you had asked me 2 months ago who's going to win the election, I was like, it's going to be a Dutton government. It's going to be a Liberal government. It's going to be conservative. Like, that's the way that we're going. And then I think with the budget announcement, and then also I heard Albanese. I heard our Prime Minister the other day on TV go, "That's what that is. That's taking the piss." I don't know if you heard that, but he said that, and I was like,
he's been getting into it.
Okay, that's what we want. We want a little bit of sass from whoever our Prime Minister is. We want a little bit of banter. We want someone that is likable. Has he been likable the last few years? Depends on who you ask. When I'm talking about likable, I mean like somebody with charisma, charisma, uniqueness and talent, as RuPaul would say. And I think someone like a Malcolm Turnbull had a lot of charisma. Kay Rudd, a lot of charisma, that's the type of politician. Obama, charisma. I think Albanese hasn't had it. I think he's starting to come into it. I think he's got the little bit of confidence now that he's like, yeah, I know that my, opposition isn't, he's not the most, what's the word I'm looking for? He's not the most charismatic guy, so he's like, I'll just be extra Australian here, extra charming, and see where that gets me. It has to be part of the plan.
Yeah. And I'll reply to a few things you just said. Firstly, I think we know that in places like Australia, New Zealand, the US, media is really owned by conservative people. So the media bias that we see in the news, which then floats into social media, is always conservative based. So we got to really go against that. And also, he's realized that he's going up against a potato. And he's like, if I want to beat a potato, I literally just have to be a human. And so, he's been going on podcasts. I mean, hey, Elbow, you want to come on our podcast, brother? We'd love to have you on there.
Yeah, shout out.
Give us a bit of a boost. Shout out to Elbow for getting us on there.
Does that mean we have to have other people on, though? Like, we're going to have to do a balanced view, or we just going,
No,
okay?
Literally, he's been on a few of the ones that are only slightly bigger than us. And that's where he said, I don't know if you heard it, but he said, they're Delulu with no Salulu.
Stop.
So he did it. He said that in actual parliament, talking to them about the budget reply, because he knew that and everybody's like, what is this clown going on about? What's he using trying to use millennial, I don't even know, Gen Z
wording.
Gen Z wording. But apparently he went on a podcast with some women, and they were talking about, they were doing a test, do you know these sayings? And he's like, and they're like, I dare you to use this in a sentence in Parliament or during your election campaign.
Stop it. And he did.
And he smashed it out in Parliament. It's on that's actually on the system now forever. That he said they're Delulu with no Salulu.
What the hell? You can obviously tell he's he's got a young, and most of the time they all have like a young media advisor, that's come in, and they're the ones that generally are like, maybe you should do this. And we've seen, Trump, he went on Joe Rogan and podcasts like that. And it's shown that podcasts are it's becoming more and more the most popular thing to listen to. Obviously, we're in the space of people. That's why we're bringing the audience, obviously. I'm joking, by the way. But that there is just showing that people would rather listen to podcasts and like media of their choice than having to look at conservative media or media that's been pushed on people in the mainstream. Whereas they can listen to you and I, who are just two Murris from friggin' central North Queensland, just yarning about an election. And
we'll tell them straight.
We'll tell them straight. And there's no one the boss of us. We don't have no, chief executive radio producers here. It's me, myself, and I, and Aaron Agus in his laundry. So that is
in my studio, I think you remember we changed the name.
God, I got to correct myself. So that's what people are listening to, and it's becoming more popular for these politicians to come on these podcasts and platforms to actually like speak like a normal human. And that's the language that people are using, right? Especially if they want that young vote, they're going to have to get amongst the slang. But when I heard him say, you know what that's taking the piss. I'm like, yep, that's how every voter wants you to talk, because that's how we talk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Albo, shout out, brother, come on.
And one of the cool things I've seen is when they've seen the media bias that's we know happens in Australia in particular. A few of the bigger podcasts were like, you know what, let's get Albo on.
Yeah,
like they didn't get paid for it. It wasn't a they contacted the office and said, we want to put the PM on and Prime Minister on, and then let's have a yarn. And so he did. Like he's like, all right. They had a few set boundaries of whatever questions.
Yep.
And that's really bugged. It's really bugged the Conservatives, because the Labor government's wasting money paying all these podcasters.
They were calling them influencers.
Influencers, yeah. And they're like, actually, no, we just want to do it because we hate you so much.
Also, we care about politics as young people. Isn't that funny? I don't know, when it comes to our mob, there's a mix, right, of like, I don't vote, I don't care, it's not my system, blah, blah, blah. And I totally understand that. I remember my mum, when I first turned 18 and was able to vote, my mum's like, you got to enroll to vote now that you turn 18. Come on, we're taking you to get your thing. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. Why? Like, no, because your elders fought for your right to do it. Your elders didn't have the right to go and stand up there and have their say. And then she also said, if you don't, then you can't complain about who's in. So don't carry on.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly right. You can't. And again, I get the trauma. I get the generational trauma that goes with governments and why you can't trust them, et cetera, but also nothing changes unless you try to change something, right? So I think that's really good words of advice from your mother. You can't complain about it if you don't vote on it. So,
and it comes down to these very close elections. I don't think we've had a landslide election in so many years in Australia. It's always come down to either party scraping in and having to work with other parties. So I think we might see that again, like you said, with some of the independents that we've got, having to go
with
through
the
that way.
Greens or with the independents.
Yep.
And I think that's a good thing. I think you see the problems like in America and stuff where they're like so two-party driven that it's just ridiculous now. Like you don't have any choice. It's literally one, what was it this year, an 81-year-old or an 82-year-old, that was your choices until Sister Girl come along and unfortunately lost. But yeah, I think that two-party preferred system is probably what's wrong with politics, and that's why you see some of those smaller European countries that have like a range of parties that have to make up what it looks like, because that not one party is ever big enough to rule by themselves, and it makes them have to work together. So I like it. I prefer hung parliaments.
Makes it
I think
interesting.
It makes it interesting, but also, you see what happens when you give one person too much power, one party too much power. It's not good for anybody. So
yeah, look, a few things are going against both of the, the candidates, well, the main candidates, we'll say anyway, in Australia. You've got Dutton and Albanese, and both of them have their, downfall. So Albanese, I've been, just seeing every now and then in the media. It is the cost of living crisis. That is the big thing, and energy. That's the main agenda. Bills, housing, food. And then they'll go, Albanese wasted so much money on the failed referendum. They keep saying the failed voice referendum. And then you've got Dutton, who was just kind of coasting through there for a bit, and he was just saying anything that was opposite. And then I think that what's changed it for Dutton at the moment, the feeling that I'm getting, this is just me. Listen, I'm not any political commentary, any sort of anything of that nature. I'm just, I'm just a big Doris. I'm also turning 40, so I watch the 6 o'clock news. Okay, sue me. But I've been watching Dutton, and I think his thing right now is when he said everyone in the public service will come back to the office full time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Uncle's saying that he's going to work from Sydney. So he's like, you're going back to the office. Well, I don't care. You have to work there. However, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be working from another city.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a pretty typical conservative attitude. Is
he's picking out the curtains already.
Rules for me, not for you. Pardon?
He's picking out the curtains already as well.
Yeah. Think the lad thought he had it in the bag.
I think he still thinks that's happening, and I don't know. I think that alone, and how many public servants we have in Australia, and just to make a blanket rule, it's getting ridiculous, and
just dumb.
It's just dumb. So I think that's going against him, but
that and the nuclear plan, right? He's like, we're going to have nuclear. And if we had a nuclear plant where he wanted it in Queensland, that would have been hit by the cyclone. If the cyclone actually happened, it was in the cyclone path. So where he wants to put it is that wild weather.
Yeah, the pattern
line there. Just the one that goes inland to Brisbane, where you always get them random hail
and all that. Yeah,
just the random crazy weather. Like it literally happens along that channel. That's where he's going to put it. And they said if the cyclone actually happened, it was going straight into where the nuclear plant was. So I'm like, one, people don't really want nuclear. Like they've seen through his stuff. But two, he doesn't actually have anything that's going to help mob. And when I say mob, I mean everybody. Like there's no
people. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I'll make your fuel cheaper for 1 year. And then it goes back to not. So what?
Yeah.
The last time they tried that, fuel companies just put their prices up more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it went down to $1.50. By the next day, it was up to $1.75. So we lost half the excise to fuel companies profiting off the government's cut costs. Like, I mean, like it's...
Yeah. And on the flip side, you've got, the tax cuts that we've gotten in this budget and the announcements that they're trying to do with Labor. And it's like, no one's really better off, let's be honest. We're all in struggle street. It doesn't matter, I think, unless you're the 1% who are really well off in this country and are doing fine, and you have intergenerational wealth and property, then you're doing okay. But everybody else is pretty much drowning. We're not getting much for our money, and climate change is real. And I think this election and elections to come are really going to be determined by climate change, because if you want to put in a nuclear power plant and instead of renewables and spruiker energy that way, what happens when the grid's just going to shut down when it gets too hot and everything just goes off anyway?
Look at West right now. Like all of our Queensland produces like nearly 60% of Australia's cattle exports, and all that land has just been flooded. Like it's just all flooded, so they're losing millions and millions of dollars worth of cattle.
Yeah. And we're paying a lot of money in cyclone recovery money and natural disaster money that we're going to have to pick up the bill for, because instead of looking at the bigger picture of, oh my gosh, this is a cause of climate change, and it's only going to get more and more expensive. You add on top of it the tariffs from overseas and what we're going to be importing and exporting, and what's, the money from that's going to be taxed. So we're all pretty much just like, who's going to hurt us less than the other person?
That's what I see in the video. Somebody's like, look, honestly, I'm just trying to find who's going to screw me over the least, and that's what I'm going to vote for. And you see, like the funny thing I see is Australians in particular, like, we need an Aussie Trump.
Oh God!
And then I look at the US. They got no healthcare, like
Mm-hmm.
no free healthcare, right? It's a small little gammon bit of it. They've got the lowest minimum wage. I think the minimum wage in some places is like $7 for adults.
Mm.
They've got a horrible education system where they're paying hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a university degree, and people are dying regularly because of guns.
Yeah.
So, what part of that do you want here in Australia? Like, I don't understand. Like, what
Yeah.
you want low wages? Like, you want them to be bringing in people from overseas, but we're already complaining about people coming from overseas,
Yeah.
and you want lower wages and then have to compete with people coming from overseas who'll work for even less. Like, it's just wild to me that people have no real idea
Yeah.
what they
And
actually want.
it's that's the thing, right, with black politicians too. It's like, why do they get in the game? Because at the end of the day, unless they're an independent, they really have to toe party lines and they have to go with what a party and their policies are. So we've actually got a whole bunch of blackfellas that are running. Like, this is the most we've ever had in Parliament, which is a huge deal. You know, you think back in the day, we had nobody, we had no representation. You know, and even though they're one person, to get one blackfella within that place to infiltrate those walls is a huge feat. And now we've got so many of them, and every year there's more and more. So that's a
Yeah.
good thing. I think doesn't matter, like, you know, which side you sit on, if they're a conservative blackfella or if they're, you know, not conservative. The fact is there's black faces and people
Yeah.
in that place. And
Yeah.
those views represent all of our community, by the way. You know, we're
Yeah.
not all very left leaning mob, like, and, you know,
Mhm.
rally and out in the streets. We're not all that. So we have to acknowledge that there's a place for a range of that's why we're in a democracy, you know. So
Yep.
we have this range of views. So I thought maybe we could go through. There is a couple of candidates in the Northern Territory. Obviously, you've got Senator Melendary McCarthy,
Yeah.
and you've also got Jacinta Price up for re-election.
Mm.
The two big ones up in the Territory, and of course they're black women. Just saying,
That's totally.
it is deadly and very what's the word? Polarizing is the word.
They do represent pretty different thought patterns around how do we actually help mob and what that looks like. If the Liberal Party wins they'll be making Jacinta Price the what's that thing that Elon's doing?
Oh yeah, what is that? It's like the role of
Government efficiency.
government efficiency.
Yeah, so if the Liberal Party wins, old JP will be the Elon Musk of Australia. She'll be looking at government efficiency. Meanwhile, Auntie's on her 14th or 15th breach of the thing where she spent money that she wasn't supposed to, or breaching government standards when it comes to what she's claiming. So the lady that allegedly uses government money for the wrong thing is going to be the one going through the government coffers and saying, "Oh, that's a rip-off."
It's so I feel like that's politics, right? They all breach
Yes.
their own thing anyway. So I don't even know what to believe anymore, to be quite honest with you. But she's up for it as well. Marion Scrimmager is another one in the lower house for Lingari. And then you've got in New South Wales, MP Gordon Reid, a Wiradjuri man, is recontesting the Central Coast seat that he won.
Let's go, Gordon.
Yep, let's go to New South Wales. Go to the Corys. Ewan and Bidjigal, Kieran Brown is the Greens candidate for Southeast Sydney. And that's going to be a big one.
Yeah.
La
Yeah, that'd be
Perouse, that's the seat of La Perouse, and down there is big black community in Lapa, down in Sydney, and also a member of the LGBTQA plus community, which is very deadly. Yeah, and who else have we got in there? Nagus, can you see any?
I do want to say today, Sister Girl announced her retirement from politics.
Who?
The wild one.
Lydia,
yeah.
She
So I
did
do want to
what?
say that. I do want to say that today, Lydia Thorpe announced her retirement from politics. She was already saying this was going to be her last
No.
time in Parliament, but she officially said today.
Really?
And then, no, Gavin, it was an April Fool's joke.
God damn it. I'm here Googling too. I'm like, talk crap, bro. Would have been all over my thing. Good
Yeah,
for
so
you.
she did a good one on social media. She had herself walking away, giving her the finger and saying, "I've been listening to all you Karens on the internet.
She's
I'm officially
funny.
retiring from Parliament." Blah blah blah. And all these people were like, "Yeah, f off, blah
Yeah.
blah." And then it was like, "Look at the date, you clouds." So,
She's
oh,
so
there you go. I did
funny.
get somebody with an April Fool's joke. Go me.
Yay! Well, yeah. Well, I was asleep when I didn't even see that. So I would have been like, "What? You've still got time on your term? What are you talking about?" But that's funny,
Yeah.
Lydia. You know what? Love or hate her, Lydia Thorpe has really shaken up Australian politics. The last how many years she's been in? Gosh, 3-4 years now. She has to have been in first with the Greens and then as an independent. And yeah, she is a firecracker. It's just like watching her is just like watching Bob Catter for me.
Yes.
You know, or what's her name, Jackie Lambie. I love these type of people that are just themselves, and some would call them crazy, some would call them, you know, radical or whatever it is, but they're themselves.
So Jackie Lambie has come out as mob a little bit later into her political career.
I love that you're using that term. You're coming out as mob. Is that a new thing now? Like people are
It has
coming
to
out
be.
announcing.
And Bob Catter changes his mind and comes out every 6 months, depending on which TV show or radio show he goes.
Oh
so
my
he calls
God.
himself, he says, you know, us Calcadoon mob, like, brother, you're not Calcadoon.
I don't know any Calcadoo mob that claim him.
No, nobody does.
No
but he
one.
always switches in and switches out. He's like, yeah, you know, when he's trying to act like he's a deadly black fella, like, you don't know what it's like for us mob up here in Calgadoon. You're like, brother, you don't know what it's like. You've been a rich white man your whole life, and you just use the Calgadoon's only mob's name that you know. You don't even know the rest of them.
I have seen him in I'm not going to name the community. It's an Aboriginal community in North Queensland. I've seen him there, and he's like, "Well, you know what it's like, us black fellas." And I'm like,
yeah. He said that,
and
he
everyone's
said that a
just
number
quiet.
of times. And people was like, us? Who are you talking about? Us?
Man, well, Jackie, I know Senator Jackie Lambie, there was issues with her, you know, mob down in Tasmania claiming her as well. She calls herself a proud Palawa woman. So, you know, in saying that, I'm like, I don't know you mob. Look, like she's not my mob, all right? So if I'll leave this up to the Palawa mob, you know, if they're listening. That's completely up to them. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't know, she's pretty fiery. She's got the fire of a black woman.
Yeah. She's definitely, and I think she's like you. I think she's Scottish Aboriginal.
Is she? Hey, look at my sister gave us she gave us a nickname, a Scott Origine or something.
Scott Origine.
Stupid idiot. Yeah.
Scott Original.
Scott Original. So yeah, Jackie Lambie, she's very fiery. So she's running again, obviously. In I think Queensland as well. We've got well-known activists, Wayne Coco Wharton. You would have seen him a lot of protests. He's running for the lead candidate for the Indigenous Party of Australia. That's a big one. So
yeah, that'll be interesting. It would be interesting to see how many votes that party gets. You know, like I think we've seen some really good examples of Indigenous parties or First Nations parties in other countries.
Yeah.
And Australia really hasn't done it very well. And I don't know if he will do it very well, but, you know, I think it's been interesting to see how much influence mob can have around the world in their own party. So,
yeah,
I mean, I'm a betting man. I wouldn't be putting any money on them getting in, but like it'd be really interesting to see what that looks like and what that groundswell is, you know, with this. People don't want to vote for major parties anymore.
I was going to ask you, when you go to the poll and there's a ballot paper and you can either do all of the crazy little parties on the paper, which are like, you know, half the time they're a small party that someone's made up.
Pirate mob, marijuana mob, you know, shake a leg mob.
Shake a leg, big Buru crew, like all these parties. Now, are you a voter when you go to the polls and you're like, I'm going to do all of those boxes, or are you just the top line and you fill out the top?
I'm going 1 to 82.
Are you?
Yeah.
You're a liar, bro. I don't know what to believe anymore.
I have done every box in the upper house since
really
I can remember.
You nerd, bro. You're a total nerd.
I love it. I don't even collect the paper. I'm like, I already know who I'm going to vote for. Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll grab the ones off the parties I like just so they feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
But I already know, like, I know who I'm going to write down before I go in there.
Really?
And then I just like sit there.
So are you, how long do you spend in there? Because there's a lot of
A
parties.
long time. My kids don't come with me.
I was going to say, your wife and kids aren't coming with you.
No, I'm just going there by myself.
Is
She
this
does.
like
She
a
does what you do.
Is this a full Arenagus day? Are you like, yes?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to get my little card out. I'm going to, you know.
Really? How does it
I'm
go?
ready to go.
How do you fill the card out?
Yeah, like this. If you're not like you're lucky, it's on video. It's like, yep. Thank you. Yep. I really want to put you real last. I know who I'm going to put in the last 5, and I know I'm going to put in the first 5 definitely.
Yeah.
And then I'll see how well I feel, and if I want to go even deeper than that.
Yeah.
But I feel at everyone because I know that who I want to definitely put last.
It's a strange thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the postal vote this year. I'm going to be overseas, so I don't think I can actually do it because I'll be overseas before I can apply for the postal vote.
You have to vote overseas.
Yeah, I'm going to have to vote overseas, which is something I've never done. And
that'd be deadly, actually.
I know. And I wonder if they're going to have a democracy sausage. So I wonder, what date is it? It's the 5th. No, what date is the election?
3rd of May or 5th of May.
Okay, I will be in London. I'm going to be in London when they surely.
Do you want a democracy sausage in London?
I have to think about that. Look,
and I mean an actual sausage. I'm not talking about the sausage that you're thinking about
here
in London.
How many is democracy sausage now? I will take anything I can from London. While I'm in London, anything free from London, I'm taking it. So if it's a democracy sausage at the polling booth, I'll take it.
Taking it. All right.
Maybe I should do like a whole should I do a little piece for us? Like I'll go in, do a recording, what it's like.
Talk what it is.
I'll set it up and go, this is where I'm at. And then, okay, sounds good. Democracy sausage, let's do it.
That sounds deadly.
Okay, well, if we have to pick someone now, this is, we're in early April. By the time this election happens, I think you're right, brother. I think it's going to be a minority.
Yeah, hung parliament, Labor, Alba will be PM again. Greens will be helping him out, and maybe some Teals, depending on what the numbers look like. That's what we didn't talk about was the Teals.
The Teals? What are you talking about, the Teals?
The Teals are all these independents that they're sort of conservative, but they're sort of green. So, when you mix blue and mix blue and green together, you get teal.
That's right. So, there's this whole teal thing, which I've only just learned about.
They're going to be
explain this.
So they're going to be really influential because all these rich city folk, they don't want to vote for Labor and they don't want to vote for the Greens, but they want to vote for somebody who's going to look after the environment. So that's where the Teals will come in. Okay. They said, look, we want to support big business and we want to be economically smart, but the way we do that is also have to look after the environment. So they're trying to find that balance between being conservative but also caring for the planet.
Yeah.
And that's why the Liberal Party now is going to struggle because the big cities now are literally Teals, Greens, and a few Labors, So you've got some of the really rich seats that used to be, conservative held for decades, hundreds of years. And these Teals are coming in like, look, we're one of you, but we want to help the environment. And the people are like, well, then the other party's not actually doing anything for the environment, so we've got to come in. So
these are all the Tesla drivers, right?
yeah. These are the Tesla drivers. They're rich, so they got the privilege, but they're also
the voice yes voters. Are they the same?
I don't know. I don't think they are. No, so that's what I mean. So they're still conservative.
They still don't care about black people.
They don't care about mob, but they do care about the environment. So that that's what I'm saying. So it's like a really weird mix for them. They're like, because if they cared about mob and the environment, then they'd be a Greens voter. But they're not.
It sounds like a mix of confusion and self-hate to me. That's what it sounds like. But
it literally is. They're like, well, we want to be rich, but we also want to look after the environment. So,
but only us that are rich. No one else. Black people go away. Just save this white money.
Yes.
Okay, that's what it is. I get it. I get it. Well, yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting few weeks, and I'm already over the pamphlets in my mailbox. Can tell you right now.
Yeah, real estate pamphlets and political pamphlets. I'm over them both. Like, I just want to buy a nice little farm somewhere, but I don't want to buy it from a pamphlet and I don't want to buy it from a political party. So,
Yeah. All right, we'll see. See you in a few weeks, my friend.
yes, we shall see. But no, I'll let you know how my democracy sausage goes.
And I'll let you
as
know how
well.
mine goes as well.
Yes, it should be interesting.
It's time to play How Black Are You? Brother, I've had so much feedback. I don't know about you, but people really liked the How Black Are You game.
I really enjoy the feedback I've gotten. Like, yes, I got all those right as well. So people are like, okay.
Did anyone question you about your Aboriginality after the first game
No,
of How Black Are You?
as soon as I passed it, like, well, this lad, he's legit.
That's right.
So then when they get theirs right, they're like, yeah, well, you must be legit too. Congratulations.
A lot of people are liking it. So I thought, we can just play this game whenever we feel like it, really. Like we said, we're giving out confirmations. If you need your Aboriginality certificate, then come on this game and play How Black Are You? No, okay. I'm being dumb. I thought this week, things that black mums have said. Let's explore that. Because you got triggered last week, and it really
stepmom vibes.
Yeah, the stepmom vibes, and it made me really think about other things that black mums and but let's just do black parents in general because.
Okay.
But mums are very they're very good at it. Black mums at saying like one-liners that you don't forget and are burned into your side of your brain. And last week we said, there now. That was the big one in mine. What was yours? Yours was, I told you not to do that or something?
Yeah, don't come crying. I told you not to do that.
Far out.
So how do we want to do this? We'll go.
Are we going one for one?
Back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go one for one. And
all right.
if you've heard it, then you get a point.
Okay. Oh, should I start then?
Yeah, go on then.
All right. How about this? Why are you sitting around listening to adults for?
Yeah. I think I've said that as well.
Why are you sitting around? Get outside. Why are you sitting around listening to adults talk? That is...
Yeah.
When I tell you I'm triggered myself when I say it.
Yeah.
And that comes from kids being inside Dorising. That's where our Doris starts.
Doris, yeah.
It starts with us sitting around. Like, why would I want to go outside in the blistering heat where I've grown up in North Queensland? Why would I want to go outside with snakes and all the creepy crawlies when I can sit at the table with all of my aunties and uncles and just hear them running everyone down and Dorising? Yeah. And I can hear that. No. Yeah. And you just, as a kid, as a black kid, you gam and sit there like you're not there, like no one's going to see you. And then eventually you're listening, so you start giggling and then you start getting involved in the conversation and then all you hear is, why are you sitting around here with adults? Get outside. And you're like, damn it, it's ruined.
Yeah,
They caught me.
They caught me. Oh, no.
God, black mum. All right, you're up.
All right. Go on. Keep crying. I'll give you something to cry about.
Triggered.
We should have put a trigger warning at the start of this series. We are sorry to all the people out there who are reliving their childhood through some some well-intentioned words.
Man, and you can imagine it's not even like it's a threat of violence. Okay, let's be honest, but it's the way that they say it that's the scariest bit. It's the tone. I'm so triggered. Yep. Okay. Me. When we go on the shop, don't ask for anything. All right.
How long? Let's just go to 5 because we might be here all night.
We're gonna be here all night. Don't ask for anything, and then another one. Don't touch anything. Don't ask for nothing, and then you're like, but can I just? I have one. What did I say? What did I say? Oh, bro. Okay, you're up.
This is one that I've used with my children as well, but you better fix that face before I fix it for you.
Far out. out. Far out. Can I tell you right now, my mum would, she would have, she'd get gully about something. She'd get wild about something. And then it would be, a big growl, something. I end up crying. I'm in tears. I've either been flogged or smacked or proper growled. And then you're in a state. You're a child, and you're heaving. You're heaving, and then you hear, "Enough now, enough now. Stop it now."
Yeah.
What do you mean? And then fix the face because I'll fix it for you. You're heaving, and are you having to stop yourself from crying and fix your face at the same time, because otherwise you're going to get flogged more? Like how?
Yeah.
So tricky, bro.
This one is probably only, you might not get this in the city because you didn't have as much access to trees, but this is one that my mum said that we talked about at weddings and everything else. And she'd be like, "Go fetch me a switchy stick." And you have to pick your own punishment tool. I was like,
Bruh.
this is the worst mental torture I've ever, that is the worst. That's the worst. That's no wonder.
That's up there. It's one of the, that there, Mum would go, instead of go and pick your own stick, it wouldn't be that. All my mother would have to say, and this is just a black mother saying, "Right." That's it. That is it. And then when you heard the footsteps, are like the heavy footsteps, and then all you heard was, "Right." Oh, rah.
You'd start running.
You start running.
Not run. Don't run.
Mm-hmm. Keep going. I'll flog you harder. Oh, bruh. Why are they like this? And, and please tell me why I'm like this now with my dogs. I do it to my dogs.
There you.
I go, "Right." My dogs scatter. They scatter.
That's it about enough. Well, this is one that you might say to your dogs, because I've seen the damage they did to your house. Like, what? You think I'm made of money?
Oh, no. You think I'm made of money. Man.
You think I'm made of money?
Ours was, my mum would go, "What's the front door doing open? Shut it. Snake going to come in this house."
That's a very North Queensland thing to be talking about.
You know what my mum used to do? She'd go, "What the because this door doing open, mice going to come in here and then a snake's going to come in." So it would go, there was like a food chain situation.
Yeah. She's teaching about the circle of life, but also that it's important to shut the door.
And then to the point of, it went from that to the front door, and then it went to, she'd come in my room. And because I was an artist, right? I was a renowned artist as a child. I loved painting, loved drawing, just being creative. My mum would come in and she'd go, "What's all these pieces of paper everywhere? There's going to be a mice that's going to come in here and get this out. Chuck all this paper in the bin because mice is going to come and then a friggin' snake's going to come in the house." Like it would always come back to a snake's coming in the house. And I'm like, "What's next? A dinosaur. The snake's going to come in, then the dinosaur's going to smell the snake." And then it was always something. That's so triggering.
Usually like when I don't know if we'd be out in public or where it'd be like, "Don't be here showing off for your little friends."
No, man. I hated that. This is why I never had my friends over. I never.
Yeah. And so my mum would follow that with like, "Oh, don't be here showing off your little friends. Like I'll flog you in front of these kids."
I don't care who's around. I'll flog you in front of all these white people. That was what my mum said in the shops.
Yeah.
Don't look for these white people. They're not going to save you. I'll flog you in front of all of them. Oh, man. Another one is, "You got McDonald's money? Oh, you want McDonald's? You got McDonald's money?" No. And I think about it now. McDonald's was cheap back in the day. You could get a cheeseburger for $1, okay?
Yeah, that's right.
The cost of living now, I don't have McDonald's money. I did. You did, Mum, back in the day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Classic black mum say.
That was a bit of trauma
A little bit of trauma.
Finish off the day.
To finish it off, I need to go and take a lay down. I'm triggered. I'm sure you are too.
Oh, yeah, I think I did take some Advil and say sorry to my child self for bringing that trauma back.
Kids of the 90s. We'll catch you next episode.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, well.